So let's go ahead and talk about the iPhone 6s Plus and see how this iPhone holds up in the middle part of 2022. Now, this iPhone, I will definitely tell you, had a very great history, I will say. Even though it's unsupported with software right now, this iPhone made a lot of waves, and this was an iPhone I used for a bit of time back in 2015, 2016, I believe. And one thing, or I think it was 2016, 2017. Now, I did do a early 2022 review of this iPhone, and I enjoyed it. I still think it's a pretty decent device. Unfortunately, a really big change that happened with this iPhone is that it is now technically unsupported with the official, full-on version of iOS, which is iOS 16. Now, I really didn't think this iPhone was going to be getting iOS 16 in the first place, so I'm not really surprised, and I don't think it's even a bad thing about this iPhone. iOS 16 on a lot of different iPhones are doing very well that I own, and some are doing really bad. I feel like if this iPhone got iOS 16, it probably would have been way worse than iOS 15 in terms of a stability standpoint. So I think that's totally okay. If what I'm understanding is correct from what Apple is probably going to be doing, and just like what they did with the iPhone 6, this device's predecessor, they're probably going to support this iPhone with security updates probably for the next several years. So even though these iPhones, like I said, are technically unsupported with software, we should expect to see iOS security updates on iOS 15 continue to move forward. At least that's what I'm hoping so. Now, in terms of the body, this iPhone is still exactly the same as before. 5.5-inch panel on the front, which still looks pretty decent. Really old kind of design at this point, but Apple did create the iPhone SE 3 with almost the exact same design as this thing, so not much has really changed there. Aluminum body, single camera setup on the back. Realistically, the body and just the outside of this phone, I think is still kind of a high point of this iPhone. Even though obviously it's not a premium, super good looking phone anymore, it still feels fairly premium, and a lot of phones, in the market are moving towards plastic backs and cheapening their product. I think Apple did a pretty good job with the 6s Plus, and I think in terms of a body standpoint, it still holds up fairly well. Now, on the complete flip side of this specific device, the iPhone 6s Plus, in terms of a software standpoint, is now technically unsupported. So we shouldn't expect to see iOS 16 updates, iOS 17, 18, those type of updates coming out for the 6s Plus, which, like I mentioned before, I think is totally okay. I think for a phone like this, for what it was at the time, I think it's a really kind of surprising device overall. It got so many more software versions than its predecessor that I think even if this thing stopped at iOS 14, it probably would have been okay. But the fact that this thing got iOS 15 as well, that's a pretty big change. And as of right now, my whole entire, device list on iOS 15 from when it first came out to what it is now, it's actually improved. I feel like every single iteration of iOS 15 really improved the experience. And I think towards the end, I think since about 15.3 or 15.4, things have really been kind of stabling out for a lot of different iPhones. There are still lots of issues plaguing iOS 15 devices, but for my 6s Plus and even my 6s and even my iPhone SE first generation, I've been having a pretty solid experience on iOS 15 for the past, probably like 3 or 4, I would say the last 2 official versions, the major releases of 15.4 and 15.5. I will also say that any issues I had with my iPhones before, such as battery issues, screen issues, random shutdowns, those are still there, but it's not really an iOS 15 problem. So looking forward, I probably wouldn't recommend buying an iPhone 6s Plus anymore. It really doesn't make too much sense, but I do appreciate what Apple did at the time of making a phone like the iPhone 6s Plus, and I still think it's a pretty interesting device. If you own it, I'll probably recommend keeping it until the iPhone 14s come out, but I think this is still a fairly solid device overall. So that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.